Good afternoon, One Footballers, and welcome back to another week of our European Power Rankings. This is a show where we look from around European football to take the 10 best players based on their last 5 performances. Now, over the last week, we've seen a return to action for La Liga and also for French Ligue 1, meaning there's far more players to choose from this week. But who will be in? Will Lionel Messi be able to keep his spot of first place? And will last week's defender be able to hang into the top 10 on a very rare occasion for him? Let's find out in the next few minutes and jump straight into it. Last week, Mo Salah survived a massive drop to make it into number 10. Leicester defender Ricardo Pereira showed his good form by jumping into number 9. Bernardo Silva, Manchester City's creative midfielder, was at number 8. The duo of Paul Pogba and Marcus Rashford made up the rest of the top 10. Into the top 5 though, and Spurs striker Harry Kane was firing himself into 5th. Ousmane Dembele sat in 4th, and the top 3 consisted of Son Heung-min, now at the Asian Games for South Korea. Sitting in 2nd was Antoine Griezmann, and Lionel Messi sat atop of the tree for the second week in a row. But who will make the top 10 this week? Well, let's find out just after this week's winners and losers. First off, the loser is Ricardo Pereira. Now, I know he said he made a fantastic foray into the top 10 last week with Leicester sitting in 9th, but this week, after a damaging 2-1 defeat at home to a 10-man Southampton, he's definitely dropped out. As I said, the games before that still hold him in pretty good stead when it comes to just sitting just outside the top 10. However, he hasn't quite made it in this week, and so goes down as my loser. But the winner this week, you'll find out more about him as he sits in number 4 in this list, but it's a certain goalkeeper who had an absolute barnstorming performance on Sunday night. I'll leave the name to a little later. So let's kick off our power rankings with number 10. Where else will we start? But with Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford. He's continued his fantastic form of late under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer by grabbing his 4th goal in the opening 5 games of the Norwegian manager's reign. He put an excellent finish past Hugo Lloris on Sunday night to give Manchester United a fantastic win against Spurs, and it looks like if this form continues, he may find himself in pole position to play striker for England with Harry Kane on the injury list. In at number 9 and making a slow climb back to the top spot where he's belonged for so many of these power rankings, it's Mo Salah. Last week I mentioned that he dropped all the way down to number 10 after Liverpool had a pretty poor week, including defeats to Manchester City and Wolves. But over the weekend they were straight back on it with a 1-0 victory over Brighton, where Salah won and converted a spot kick. In the rest of the game, he was still a menace to the Brighton defence with his darting movement and brilliant skill, so he deservedly climbs just 1 place this week, but we could see him back in the top 3 or 4 very soon, should his form take another turn. To number 8 now, and it's someone who's not only been affected by his performance, but by his teams in the last few weeks. For Antoine Griezmann, well, last week he was sitting in number 2. That's pretty good. This week, though, he's sitting at number 8, but it's no fault of his own. He has scored a goal in each of the last 5 games. Pretty good form. However, last night, Atletico Madrid had an absolute shocker by losing in the Copa del Rey to Girona. That's no offence to those guys, but when you got a 1-1 away draw and you take them back home, and you score 3 goals, you don't expect to concede 3 as well, especially when you're a Diego Simeone Atletico side. It's because of this that Griezmann sits in 8th. In at number 7, and someone also affected by the cup games last night, and it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Serie A hasn't got back to starting after the winter break just yet, but Cristiano Ronaldo has his first trophy in Italy. This is enough, plus the goal that he scored to win his team the trophy, to kick him up into number 7. This means that the Portuguese forward now has 13 different titles throughout his whole career, and sends a few more firing shots to Lionel Messi. In the summer, when Ronaldo moved to Juventus, he said that Messi should try his hand at maybe playing in a different league. Ronaldo has gone to another league and proved that he's still got it. He's taken home his first trophy of the season, and you can expect him to add a Scudetto at the end of the year with Juventus in such a commanding position in the table. Into number 6 now, where things are hotting up ever so slightly, and it's Luis Suarez. Now, if he hasn't been in good enough form recently, he took things to a whole new level against Eibar at the weekend. In Barcelona's 3-0 win, he scored 2 goals and set up Lionel Messi's 400th La Liga goal. That's pretty good going from Suarez, and despite his well into his 30s now, I still can't really think of a better, more consistent striker than him. All I know is Barcelona will have a hard time replacing him when the summer or even next summer comes around and he slowly starts to fall off. Into the top 5 now, and we have a French wonder kid in Kylian Mbappe. I say wonder kid, however, he's pretty much well known. The word wonder kid sort of reminds you of someone who you don't really know, you may have seen on your FIFA game. But as for Mbappe, he's 20 years old, he's already won the World Cup and everything there is to win in France, so he's pretty damn good. Over the weekend, he brought Ligue 1 back with a bang, scoring in a 3-0 victory over Amiens for PSG, meaning that he's now got 14 goals this season. That's 1 more than he scored in the whole of last term. Some incredible form from him. Sitting in number 4, and it's my winner of the week, you've probably guessed who it is, it's David De Gea. Now it really says something where one performance is good enough to take him into the top 10 of our power rankings. This is because we take the last 5 games into account. I'm not saying he's been bad over the last 5 games, he's been coming along nicely, but certainly not enough to take him into the top 4 players in Europe. But that's what a second half with 11 saves against Spurs and a clean sheet will do for your form. He's pretty much got a 10 out of 10 this week and shoots straight into number 4 from pretty much the wilderness. But heading into the top 3 now, and we have a few familiar names. But will Lionel Messi still be in first position? In third, it's Nicolas Pepe from Lille. I can't tell you how much this guy has impressed me this season. Not only is he playing for a side that's not necessarily going to be challenging PSG, they are second but are miles off, but he's really doing the business week in, week out. As mentioned before, Ligue 1 returned to action on Saturday and Sunday over the weekend, and well, so did Nicolas Pepe. He was at it again with a goal and 2 assists as Lille took a 3-1 victory home from Cannes. The only downside to his unbelievable form recently is that we're in the transfer window. So when he keeps doing better, more heads keep turning. And it's no wonder that he's been linked with some of the biggest clubs in Europe. As for all the options out there in the transfer market, well, the Lille president has said that he could be worth around 50 million, which in today's market is not a bad price for many of the clubs that want to sign him. In at number 2, it's Lionel Messi. I've mentioned before, whether or not would he be top? And he's not. He's been knocked down 1 place though, so that's not too bad for him. However, throughout his career, he's not really used to being a runner-up. This is because we have a fantastic player in number 1 who we'll speak about in a minute, but for now, Lionel Messi is still bang on form. I mentioned earlier Luis Suarez set up his 400th goal in La Liga, and he's the first player to do so. Just a quick side note, if you're wondering who the second closest to getting to that 400 mark is, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not playing in La Liga anymore. The second closest to reaching that mark, who is currently still active in La Liga, is Aduriz, the Atletico Bilbao striker, who's currently on 157. So in that case, even though he's 36 years old, he'll still be hoping to score 243 goals just to get to that 400 mark. It's not going to happen, and I wouldn't put it past Lionel Messi to go on and reach 500. As for his recent form, well, in his last 4 games, he's got 6 goals and 2 assists, so you can see why he's always going to be near the top of the table with putting in those kind of numbers. And lastly but not least, we come to this week's number 1, and he's up from number 7 in last week's power rankings. It's Paul Pogba. Just when you think he'd had a flying start under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he goes and produces a fantastic assist and all-round performance against Tottenham, which sees Manchester United really start to look at the top 4. Paul Pogba, obviously, because we look at the last 5 games, still has those goals over Christmas in his locker to help boost his rating. But more recently, his form has seen him put in brilliant performances away at Newcastle and away at Spurs, in which United have scored 3 goals, kept 2 clean sheets, and really looked like the team of old. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just how far can this Manchester United team go? Can they win a trophy? Can they break into the top 4? And will he get the job on a permanent basis? As for Paul Pogba, he sits at number 1 in our European power rankings this week. So there you have it, a quick look back at the table for our power rankings this week. In at number 10 was Marcus Rashford as he continues his fantastic goal scoring form. Mo Salah moves up a place into 9th. Antoine Griezmann's team has let him down and he moves into 8th. Cristiano Ronaldo takes home his first Italian trophy, sits in number 7. Luis Suarez goals and assists see him sitting at number 6. In at number 5, Kylian Mbappe continues his wonder kid form. David De Gea with all of those saves moves into number 4. Transfer target Nicolas Pepe is still doing the business for Lille, but will he be there at the end of the transfer window? Last week's number 1, Lionel Messi, drops down 1 place to number 2 and is still banging them in. And this week's number 1 is, as just mentioned, the enigmatic Frenchman, the brilliant Manchester United midfielder, Paul Pogba. So that's all for this week's In the Power Rankings. Of course, guys, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments section below who you thought should have been in there, who you thought shouldn't have been in there, and who your top 3 would have been this week. Of course, remember to join me every single Thursday for our European Power Rankings. Smash the like button whilst you're down there, and until next time, I will see you guys for the Power Rankings next Thursday.